Hello, everybody. Welcome back. It has been a while. It's been a while since we've done recording. This is Movie Mumbles. I am once again joined by Mr. Womble.
Hey, how's it going?
It's good. It's uh, I won't deny we're filming at a later hour than we usually do it, but we, but you know what? The
It's
show
currently
must.
1 a.m. for me.
Oh, I thought
Oh,
it. I thought.
don't start talking about shows because that's literally all I've been doing all week
Oh,
is
really?
theater and shows. Yeah,
Oh yeah. Because you've been busy working on Singing in the Rain, right?
Singing in the Rain.
I watched that movie.
Yep.
I liked it. It's a good movie, and I'm sure the
Yeah.
stage. But that's not what we're talking about right now. We just
No.
the point was you were just busy during that last time, so it's been a while since we recorded these. I still need to post the new one, the fourth one that I haven't been working on that, but that's the next video that's gonna come up
Yeah.
for when we're recording this. You know what? Let's just get back. Let's just get to the topic of the today's video.
Yeah. Do you want me to say it?
Yeah. You
I
usually.
usually say it, don't I?
Yeah.
So today's topic is action fighty sceney things.
Yeah. Pretty much.
I overcomplicated the topic this week because I
Yeah.
think it was my turn to choose, and
Yeah.
I essentially said let's each pick two fight scenes.
Yeah.
They have to be like 1-to-1,
Mhm.
and we have to have one good and one bad, and then we can kind of talk about what we like about them and what we like about each other's and about the movies and stuff.
Yeah, that's the basic idea. We stick to four basic scenes because, let's face it, we didn't want these things to keep on getting really long. Like every time,
Yeah.
every time we say, "Oh, let's make the next one shorter," it usually ends up being like an hour long anyway. So
Well, actually, I think the last few times we've said, "Oh, we're going to make it shorter," and then it ends up being longer than the last one. So.
yeah. Best of luck with this one.
Well, let me introduce why I came up with this topic first. I went to go and watch Morgan, which was in the cinemas a few months ago, and I really was interested by this topic, the topic of the actual film, and it was very psychologically intense, and it was a slow-moving thing until like the final act, where all of a sudden, out of nowhere, this action scene just popped in, and it was a 1v1 action scene that was really poorly choreographed. There was shaky cam. There was everything I hate about action scenes. And I just thought, you know what, this would make a really good topic to analyze and sort of talk about because
Yeah.
I'm very passionate about action scenes and fight scenes. And I hate shaky cam. So
Yeah.
you might be able to figure out that the ones I don't like are generally shaky cam pieces of trash. Now, I have picked a good fight and a bad fight.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that I don't like the films or that I like the films or whatever. It just means that I like this particular fight scene, and that's the whole point. Like, I've picked a bad fight scene that I feel is detrimental to the film, but I love the film itself.
So yeah, I gotta explain my case too because I picked. We should stress that just because we said this is a good fight scene doesn't necessarily mean we think the movie is good or bad or anything like that, or vice versa. Because in my case, I picked what I consider a good fight scene from a bad movie and a bad fight scene from a good movie. And I know you're gonna argue with me on my picks.
I am going to argue with you on your picks, yes. And there are reasons. But anyway, I guess we can do my picks first.
Yeah, let's start with the bad pick first.
They're more easier to analyze, I think. So the bad pick is actually from Guardians of the Galaxy. And
Yeah,
I did originally have... Well, there are actually two fight scenes in this that I don't like. I just generally don't like because it just detracts from the rest of the film. And the whole Guardians of the Galaxy is such a brilliant, well-worded and well-put-together film. It's clever, it's smart, it makes you laugh in the right places. It's not over the top for, like, challenging on a mental level, but it kind of interests both kids and adults. and it has a whole level of nostalgia in it that you don't really expect from a comic book franchise that nobody literally had ever heard of. And it's not even a comic book franchise; it was literally a string of 5 or 6 comics in the 80s. So Guardians of the Galaxy has 2 fight scenes in this, and the main one that I want to talk about is I can't remember the character's name. It's Gamora and whoever Amy
Nebula
character is. Yeah, Nebula.
Gamora and Nebula. It's the links. Yeah. We have the links right here, and it says the actual names of them.
Holy shit! Yeah, it does right there, doesn't it? Well, anyway, that's the main problem with this. Now, it's not too distracting from the film because it's only like it's cut in between a bigger action scene. But this main fight scene, it pissed me off because it took away from the bigger action of the film. And the big action is that all of these forces are coming together and they are working as a team, finally, to defeat Ronan, which is the most useless and awful baddie of all time. But I'm not going to get into that. And then in the middle of all this, it's just these 2 weird ladies in makeup that are fighting. And it's not even convincing fight. It's really poorly edited, and there's so much shaky cam in it that you can't really tell what's happening. Like there's this one kick where I think it's Gamora that does like a back kick or something, and then it's edited in such a way that as like the first angle is just before she hits Nebula and Nebula. I don't know which one's which because I don't really care.
Gamora's the green one, Nebula's the blue one.
Yeah, it's like a frame before Nebula is hit in the face with the foot. Then the next shot is a frame after she's been hit in the foot, and then you don't actually see the impact and you don't actually see the essence of the fight. And that's my whole problem with fight scenes now in Hollywood, because a lot of one-to-one combat is like it's edited so poorly that it's because the actors can't fight. And that's my beef with it. It's literally because the actors can't fight. Like they're hiding the stuntmen and they're hiding the actual impact, and it pisses me off. And this scene in particular really it detracted from the film, especially because it was in the finale,
the climax, basically.
Yeah, it was the climax, and it just distracted me that little bit. The other one that I'm gonna really briefly mention in the same film is Ronan and whatever the idiot's name is. I can't remember the one that takes everything so literally.
Damn,
I can't remember his name.
I actually forgot his name too. It's Batista.
Drax, something.
Yeah,
like
Drax. I actually forgot. He's Batista.
He's probably like the least interesting character out of all of them. There's another one where they're fighting, and it's the exact same thing. It's in the midst of a very funny film, a very serious fight, and it's almost as though the direction of the main film and then the direction of the choreography of the stunts, they're directed by completely 2 different film crews and 2 completely different things, and then they're just put together, mashed at the end. And that's a shame, because something like Guardians of the Galaxy, you can get jokes from humor in fight scenes, and I feel that you could interject that quite a lot. So yeah, that's my problem with that. So that's my bad pick.
Personally, as I've stated previously, I do really love Guardians of the Galaxy. I think it's a really, really impressive film on many accounts. I will concede, though, that I do feel like in some of those action scenes, I do agree, they're not... The way they are edited, it makes them not memorable in that case. I can't argue there are some great action moments in it.
I do love that film. Like, I think it's probably one of the better Marvel films that have came out. There's a lot of good Marvel films in that franchise. But it's just one of those moments that detracts from the actual film, and that's why I've got to make it as a bad fight scene. Like, one-on-one fight scene is it just doesn't work for me.
Going on to my bad pick. So again, this is from a movie that I really like. I wouldn't call it my favorite of these films, but I do really enjoy this film enough, and That said, I really don't like how they presented the fighting in this film, and it's got to go with Christopher Nolan's Batman Begins, particularly that first kind of scene where Batman is basically beating up the mob, the henchmen at this point. This is like the first time you see Batman, like the reveal of Batman, and I feel like it's a similar case with your complaints with like shaky cam, and it's so unfocused, it's jittery, and there's a lot of cuts in it. And for me, I can understand what they were trying to do with this scene. I understand that they didn't want to fully show the action because to kind of give this air of mystery to the Batman in his first appearance. That said, the execution did not work. I feel like it just looked too sloppy. It wasn't. You can barely see what was going on, and I feel like even if you're trying to give the mood of mystery, you should still be able to decipher who Batman is hitting, basically. And it's a constant problem throughout the entire film. Luckily, Nolan was able to improve in the later films, because I don't really see as bad of a fight scenes in The Dark Knight or The Dark Knight Rises, but it just I don't know. I think honestly, I think Nolan was kind of struggling at this point because he's done a lot of great films, but I don't think he's done a lot of great action scenes yet. So honestly, I think in many ways this could be a sign of like inexperience at this point.
Well, first off, this goes against the rules of the 1v1 thing I stated at the beginning, but I thought I'd allow it because I thought it was an interesting case, and it does have a lot of interesting points. I do agree with you that it's got shaky cam in it, that is distracting. But then I've watched this now 3 or 4 times since you mentioned it, and there are moments where it's not actually shaky cam; it's handheld cam, because they don't just have shaky cam all the time; they have the steady cam in the car when it's nice and calm. So that holds the frame on. I've forgotten the names.
Carmel Falcone.
Yeah, the Roman and the cop. So it holds the frame on those because that's when it's calm. And then when the bat appears and starts attacking, and then you're focusing on the thugs, because that's where the real focus of this scene is, on the thugs. It's shaky and intense because they are terrified and scared. They don't know what's happening. Now, I'm not going to fight that this is like one of the best fight scenes of all time, but I wouldn't classify it as a bad one either, because there are moments in this, especially where you follow this one thug for about a minute, and he's walking down these containers, and then you can see him slowly lose it, and then he just yells, "Where are you?" And then he steps back, and the camera comes with it, and then it's Batman, and it's like, oh, yeah, that's Batman. And the whole point in Nolan's version of this Batman was that it was all about the fear. Now, like I said, I do agree that this is probably one of the worst scenes with Batman in the whole franchise. But this film does contain a really good fight scene, and that is when Bruce is in the prison. Like when he's in the prison right at the beginning and he's fighting the inmates, I thought that was really well directed because it did have elements of shaky or handheld, but most of it was on Steadicam. It was on tripod, and it's just leaning in. And that's Nolan's style, is that he likes to keep the camera as steady as possible. It's very much like David Fincher. He likes a steady cam. That, for me, like, that summed up the Batman franchise really well. And I do like this because it is the first appearance of Batman. But I do agree with you in some places. So, yeah.
Like, I can understand why he did it. I just don't feel like this was the right approach for introducing Batman. Like, I feel like the Burton approach was a better way of taking it. Like, to add the mystery and the kind of intimidation, but also kind of getting... I mean, I don't know if the fight scene itself was better, but it had a better mood to it. I think it was better shot, and I think it encompassed a better sense of Batman than just, shaking. And it's kind of funny, you could say, like, Nolan's style is Steadicam, when this fight has such a shaky cam approach. And
Well, I would disagree. I would say it's not shaky cam. I would say it's handheld cam. Shaky cam is designed to hide stunt choreography, whereas handheld is to show an angle of approach. And so you would use handheld cam when it's very hectic and violent, and you're trying to make the audience feel like they're rushing around. Like when you're running, you don't ever see everything in Steadicam. You would see it like moving around, but you wouldn't notice it. Now with this with this handheld cam, you do notice it a little bit, which is kind of a disadvantage. With normal handheld, you shouldn't notice it. You shouldn't notice it's there. The bit where Batman drops down into the circle and then he's got all the thugs around him, I don't like that bit necessarily as well either. But again, the focus is on Falcone because he's walking through the containers discovering this. So that's where the focus is. It's not actually on the fight itself. That's probably why Nolan went that route, is because he doesn't want the audience to focus on Batman at this point. He wants the audience to focus on Falcone.
I just don't like the scene personally. I just don't find it, like, even approach-wise, I just don't find it that interesting. Okay, so what's your good pick?
Oh, my pick.
And it's ironic. It's ironically coming from. You were talking a lot about shaky cam.
No, this is not shaky cam. This is not shaky cam at all. This is the complete definition of handheld cam, because it is. This is the focus of everything. And I suppose you could call it shaky cam, but there's only one director. There is literally only one director that can do shaky cam. That is Paul Greengrass. And of course, I have to pick my favorite one-on-one action scene of all time is from the Bourne Ultimatum, and it is the Bourne versus Dash fight scene. And the reason for this is because it has such a great build-up. So it starts off with Bourne running across the rooftops with like this drum beat going on, and then every time it switches to Dash, who is hunting someone else, it's very calm. And the cameras are steady as well. And it's got like this really high octane beat behind it. And it makes your heart go. Like whenever I watch this, I'm like, I hold my breath. You have to hold your breath when you watch this. Like you can't breathe. And then when Bourne jumps through the window, and then that's it. You just don't breathe for like 3 minutes. And there are a lot of quick cuts in this. But every single quick cut is completely and utterly relevant to the fight. So Greengrass sets up and what's going to happen like 2 or 3 shots before it actually happens. And that gives you the time to register, even though you don't realize that you're seeing these things. So, like, you will see a towel, and then like 2 shots later, Bourne's attacking Dash with a towel. And again, like with the choreography, it feels so real because they're literally using everything around them. It's not like your pick, which I won't mention, where it feels highly choreographed and just like, oh yes, this is a dance routine. It feels real because anything could go wrong with it. Like it's literally like grabbing and panic, and I don't know. It's just like literally my all-time favorite fight scene. I could talk about this for hours, but I want to like finish with when Bourne finally wins, and then the camera just zooms out as he's killing Dash. Like it starts off from above, and then it just pans out, and it's just like, oh shit! And that's when you can breathe. It's just amazing.
Despite the fact that there is a handycam kind of style to it, I do get a kind of a Jackie Chan kind of feeling from some elements of the fight scene and sort of how it's edited, and like you said, using everything in the house as sort of a weapon. It's not played comedically.
No, exactly. Yeah, actually, yeah. No, I agree with you because Jackie Chan used to do this in like his Hong Kong films where he would use everything around him, and that would make it real. But he would get a joke and a laugh out of it, whereas Bourne is more serious. There's a lot more intense to it, and the intensity actually comes from the scene before and the drum beat before when he's running across the rooftops, and which isn't actually in the clip, where he's running across and Dash is on the hunt. That's where the intensity comes, and then the climax is literally Bourne standing over Dash. That's it, and it's such a rewarding payoff. And it actually speaks volumes about the film as well, because the film is constant action. It's non-stop. And that was possibly where Jason Bourne failed a little bit in the summer, was the fact that there were places where the storyline kind of halted and it got a little bit dull. And that was a subplot to do with telephones and the internet and boring stuff like Facebook. I don't know.
But it still had that guy getting punched in the face. At least had that guy.
Well, yeah. Anyway, like literally, Bourne Ultimatum is probably one of my favorite action films by a long, long way. And that fight scene is definitely my favorite fight scene.
Getting to my pick, and I know you're going to have contention with my pick.
Yes, I am.
And I cannot deny it's not an amazing movie. I think it's the best of these series, but even then, it's see, okay.
Keep going. I'm just going to keep laughing.
You're going to keep shooting down my own. Anyway,
Yep.
Okay. So I'm not denying this. I'm not denying that this isn't a good movie. But because it isn't, it's really, really not good. But I just can't deny. I honestly think the scene is pretty epic. I think the scene works on its own, but I think it could have been much more amazing in a better narrative. And I think it honestly shows the potential. It's the prequels. It's the fucking prequels. It is the Anakin Skywalker versus Obi-Wan Kenobi. That final fight in the Return of the Sith, Revenge of the Sith.
I have no idea. I don't care.
This is basically what the prequels had been planning up towards. This was the confrontation between Anakin Skywalker, the betrayed Jedi, who was basically going to suck Palpatine's dick, and Obi-Wan Kenobi, the betrayed leader, the guy who guided him through all of this. And this is their confrontation, and it's such a powerful scene. And I know what you said. I know you said it was highly choreographed. It's not realistic. It's fucking Star Wars. It's not. I think there is kind of an elegance. I think.
Okay, I'm gonna step in here because I've got something I really need to say about that.
Okay,
so, like, out of all of Star Wars, you've probably picked one of the worst fight scenes, I would say, because it feels clean, apart from some of the other prequel fight scenes, but it feels clean, it feels like there's no stakes, there's no effort or anything like that. But you said that it doesn't feel real, it's Star Wars. I'm going to go to Jedi, which isn't a great film, Return of the Jedi, but then the fight scene with Skywalker and Vader at the end, you believe in that because that is the turning point of Luke Skywalker, who is about to turn to the dark side, and he has rage, and it feels like it hasn't been choreographed. It feels like it's natural, and it feels real. Like it feels like this young boy who has grown up and been corrupted by the Force, in a way. He's about to turn evil, and it was the stopping point of him wailing on his father and his constant back and forth of, am I good? Am I bad? And then he finally gives up. And he says, no, I'm not going to kill my own father. Like, that is a much more powerful and realistic scene than this, because this just has the, you're breaking my heart kind of over-the-top drama to it. The only good performance in this whole scene is probably Obi-Wan, which
Ewan McGregor.
And I love Ewan McGregor. He is a fantastic actor. I mean, Trainspotting is just one of my guilty pleasures. And also, there's another film with Ewan McGregor in where he doesn't give a good performance, but that's actually a good thing because then it builds up on the film the second time you watch it, and that's called Stay. But this, it just feels so boring. Like, it's just choreography. And I can watch better choreography by going to my local Aikido shop when they do tournaments. They do tournaments between other Aikido members, and they will have sword fights, and it looks exactly the same. No one's in real danger because they've practiced this routine for months on end. But it looks great. But as terms of movie making and filmmaking, it doesn't really give anything because it doesn't tell a story. It doesn't show them getting sweaty. It doesn't show them in trouble. They don't feel in danger during the scene. Like before the scene, there's a lot of anger, and after the scene, there's a lot of anger. But during the actual fight, it's kind of empty of that. And it's empty of the raw emotion and the power that these two people have.
I can understand. I can understand your temperament, but I do think there is something impressive to it. I do agree it is very choreographed, but I do think there is kind of a mini kind of story in this scene, because it does transition. It starts off, they end up starting off kind of in this fuming like volcano planet, and you know they're gonna play with that at some point, but then they end up going in the inside of this, I wouldn't say like base kind of area. They kind of just transforms into, and then eventually gets to like the point where they're basically fighting on like molten rock. It's like it just keeps, the situation keeps getting from like worse to worse, and there are these moments in it where it feels like Anakin is about to kill Obi-Wan and he's fully succumbed to the dark side. Now, that said, I do not deny that this scene could have been played much better. And I'm not saying this is a perfect scene, but I do feel like it is a really good scene that just suffers from being in a really bad film. And I cannot deny Star Wars probably has more emotionally powerful scenes, but that's in general because of a better story. I feel like by the end, when Anakin just kind of becomes literally less of a man as the lava literally burns him alive, I feel like there is some catharsis in that. The prequels had a lot of potential, I think.
Well, yeah, no, the prequels do have a lot of potential, but I don't want to talk about that. I want to talk about this fight scene. And that there are a lot of moments in this where it's all it feels like is, well, there isn't any danger. And just because that they've CGI'd in a lava planet, like the actors and the choreography don't feel like they're actually in danger of falling into lava and literally dying. Like there isn't a panic, there isn't a rush, there isn't fast movement. They're literally walking in one straight line, just flailing lights at each other. And that annoys me because it kind of spoils it. Now, would I say it's terrible? No, I wouldn't. There's a lot worse than this. I mean, there's a lot worse than my pick. There's Alex Cross. If you've ever seen Alex Cross, the choreography and the fight scenes in that are abysmal. They're probably the worst of all time. And Taken, they have some awful fight scenes, and pretty much anything with Liam Neeson has terrible fight scenes in it. The problem with this is that it just kind of, it's there, and it doesn't tell a story because it's just choreography. That's all it is. And it's very impressive choreography. I'll give it that, but it's just choreography. And like I said, comparing it to the Darth Vader Luke Skywalker battle at the end of Jedi, like, they've not improved on that at all. Like, not one bit. They can't touch that because that is so emotional and raw, and it just feels so alive and real. And again, it comes out of not a very good film. And I love Star Wars. I love Star Wars, but this is, like, Jedi is kind of a little bit of a hit and miss for me because there's a lot of questionable areas. So yeah, I completely and utterly disagree with this one. This one is the big one that I disagree on. I think this whole scene is just generally trash. And then when it finishes with Obi-Wan, which is like this super wise genius mentor just standing over and letting Anakin literally burn. That's literally all he does. He just you know what? What's gonna help this guy? How am I gonna help my friend? I could kill him. That might stop his reign of evil, or I could just let him burn and piss him off even more and give him the chance that he might survive. It's kind of like, what the fuck? Why would you do that? It kind of ruins a lot of things in that scene.
Before we close this off, because I know this could be the start. Star Wars never brings out the good in people. There's
again, going back to the Luke Skywalker Darth Vader thing, like right at the end, that showed Luke Skywalker's story from a young farm boy to nearly touching on the dark, literally about to turn to the dark side, and then being, you know what, I'm better than this, threw his weapon to one side.
I just before I go off, I just want to say, the music in this film honestly, all the prequels have incredible music, and I feel like for this scene,
I agree with you. Yeah, that the music score in this scene is phenomenal. Actually, I can listen to this music on its own, which is very rare for me for film scores, especially modern movie scores.
I'm just gonna say the music in the scene I think really adds to the epicness of the scene, and we can argue all day, but I think we should just end this off on a good note, okay? You know, just like in Return of the Jedi, let's end off with a awful Ewok song at the very end. Nub Nub.
That's not an Ewok.
No, that's not. It's the Nub Nub.
Nub Nub. Nub Nub was a good song. That was great. But they replaced it with something else.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I think that honestly, I think that's
the one I remember.
I know, but I just find that I don't get. I think that's just honestly too goofy, even for like Ewoks. Honestly, I think that's just too goofy of an ending. It's the ending of the saga, and you're ending off with fucking Nub Nub. It sounds like something out of a fucking commercial. Honestly, I first heard that. Yeah. I first heard the song in the Family Guy when it did parodies of Star Wars.
Yeah, that's when I first heard
I honestly thought
it's
that was...
It's not even on the soundtrack of the original trilogy. It's not even on that.
No.
So, George Lucas tried to wipe that away. But I like that. I like that piece of music. I think it's really great.
Honestly, yeah, okay. But I guess we're done. We did all of our we talked about all of our things, and it's just 40 minutes.
Yay, we did it in under half an hour. That was the idea, right?
That's our So I mean,
we split this down into literally 4 topics, and we still couldn't keep under half an hour.
Nah, I mean,
one day.
Yeah, no. Literally, I think if we just, I don't know what we'd have to do, but anyway, so that's it.
Anyway, I've been Mr. Womble. Adios, muchachos. Yay, I said his tagline.
I was gonna say, like, do you have any last thoughts? But I'm guessing no. Hello, everybody. My name is Roy Johnson, and welcome to an announcement video that I'm gonna be posting at the end of this Movie Mumble and maybe another one. I'm not entirely sure yet. Once again, I'm joined by
Mr. Womble. Hi, how's it going? This is really awkward because we're in the middle of a video where we've already introduced ourselves. The audience know who we are. What's happening? I'm breaking the fourth wall. What? Ah! Anyway, let's carry on.
Yeah, so the main point of this video is to kind of announce...
Basically what we're doing, we're changing the format for Movie Mumbles.
We're changing everything. Well... Basically,
we're creating a format because in the past
we had no
Movie
format.
Mumbles have literally just been us talking about movies, and it would change every single week. And as fun as that is, it's a pain for Roy to edit. I don't actually have any involvement in the editing.
No,
it's all on Roy. It also goes on for a bit, and I think from an audience's point of view, from your guys' point of view, it's kind of boring that we're just like talking, and it's. Yeah.
We love doing Movie Mumbles, but there was a problem with the structure. We didn't have a structure, and the episodes ended up getting too long, which is not fun for either of us, audience or creator.
At the end of the day, these things happen. Like, you keep going. You keep moving. You keep evolving. So what we're doing, we're evolving it. We're making this new.
Like a Pokemon.
So what we're going to be doing from now on, we are creating a monthly movie club. Roy, do you want to explain what that entails?
Yep, indeed, Rooney. So, for 4 episodes of Movie Mumbles in a row, we're going to be talking about a specific theme relating to one movie for each episode that relates to a theme, which will be 4 episodes. And the thing is, we are going to pick each movie. Me and Womble are going to take turns picking each movie, and then you guys can have the chance to watch it and then come and see our spoiler-heavy discussion.
Yeah, so basically at the end of each Movie Mumbles in the new format, we will tell you a movie. You guys can go and watch it. You can come back and... watch the next Movie Mumbles, or you can skip that Movie Mumbles. If you don't want to watch the film, then you can go to the end of that Movie Mumbles and find out what the next film is, and so on and so forth, and so on and so forth.
Exactly.
It's a really good way to, like, for us, that I can just talk about movies then, and that's kind of like what I like doing with Movie Thoughts over on my channel. I just talk about movies that I go and see, and it's great just to have someone to chat along with.
We're still going to have the same fun discussions that we usually have on Movie Mumbles. The difference is it's just going to be focused on one specific movie, and You know, we're still gonna be the same. We're still Roy and Womble talking about movies.
Obviously, yeah. When it comes down to recording Movie Mumbles, I love it because I can just talk about movies. But it's really hard to pick out a theme for each individual week because, like, once you've done like 5 or 6 of them, you've kind of covered all the topics.
Yeah.
Because we have such a
wide
angle of stuff. I think the one that this is going to be on the back of is the action films, and action films are massive, and you know there's a lot of them. We did like a top 10 once, and we did a horror thing with Ash, and like it's such a wide scope, and it just takes a long time. And as fun as it is to talk about, I could talk about movies for hours and hours on end. Like it's maybe not as interesting for you guys.
Yeah. So with that in mind, we're gonna just announce the first movie that's gonna be a part of our movie club, basically, and it's gonna be my pick. And the first theme that we're doing for these 4 Movie Mumbles episodes is gonna be animation. And
so that's the first series of animation.
Yes, exactly. And the first movie we're going to be watching for this is going to be the hit 2016 Disney animated film Zootopia. Very big film, very popular. There's a lot that can be said about it. I'm really, really interested to see what Womble thinks about it because he has not seen the movie yet.
I haven't seen it, no.
Nope, and I'm really looking forward to discussing it with him, definitely.
Just before we do go and leave you with that, I just want to state out the rules that I've kind of that we've both decided for this. I think
exactly.
They've got to be films that we are both able to get easily
on home access, like home video or
home access,
or Netflix.
Yeah. So we're not going to pick any really brand spanking new films that are out in the cinema. Zootopia is really pushing the rules, but that's Roy's choice, not mine.
Okay,
but
it's on DVD at least. It's not on DVD. It's not like
it is. It's out on DVD. Most people have seen it in the theater, and those who haven't can get it. So that people at home can watch it if they want to. If they don't want to, then they can skip it, and therefore, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, exactly.
But, yeah. So, Zootopia, that's the first one. I'm now going to go away and I'm going to watch this. Roy, you've got to watch it as well.
Yep, I have to watch it.
Come back and we'll just talk about it.
And then we'll go on, and then at the very end of that video, we can talk about, we're going to pick the next movie, where we have a certain amount of time to watch it, and yada, yada, yada. So, that's it for today's episode of Movie Mumbles. See you in our brand new series.
I'll see you then, guys, and have a good one, baby.
Adios, muchachos.
Yep.
And you say your catchphrase.
What he said. I don't have a... do I have a catchphrase?
Yeah,
I don't have
like, and then a Sia or something, or like,
Until next time, guys, I'll see you then.
Exactly, that's your stupid...
That's not my catchphrase, that's just something I say.
That's just something you sometimes say. It's not a catchphrase. Okay,
yeah. I don't actually say it every time.
No.
Anyway,
and
see ya. Bye.
Ah.